Are we ready? That's okay. Colonel Brown, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Very good. Well, good morning to the press, and Colonel Brown, thank you for joining us. This is Colonel James Red Brown, commander of the 56th Brigade Combat Team from the Texas Army National Guard. As the Theater Security Brigade, Colonel Brown and approximately 3,500 of his soldiers under his command are responsible for protection and command and control of the theater logistics patrols, better known to you probably as convoys, in the southern, central, and western sections of Iraq. Additionally, the civil affairs and medical teams are part of the 56th Brigade Combat Team and have helped in reconstruction and basic health care of Iraqi communities. Colonel Brown is going to give you an update of what his unit's been doing. He is speaking from what we call LSA, Logistic Support Area Anaconda, near Balad, and he completes his mission in Iraq in 2 days. So, Colonel Brown, with that, welcome, and thank you for taking the time this morning to be with us.
Good morning, sir, and thank you, Mr. Whitman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful day in the free nation of Iraq. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. It's always a great day for me when I have the opportunity to talk about the fantastic American soldiers of the 56th Brigade Combat Team. As Mr. Whitman said, the 56th Brigade Combat Team is a Texas Army National Guard brigade, and our headquarters is in Fort Worth, Texas. The Brigade Combat Team here in Iraq is comprised of 1 infantry battalion, 2 armor battalions, 1 field artillery battalion, and 1 engineer battalion. In addition to the approximately 3,000 soldiers from the Texas Army National Guard, the 244 Air Defense Artillery Battalion from the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, is attached to our organization. The 56th Brigade Combat Team is assigned to Multinational Division, Multinational Corps Iraq as a Theater Security Brigade. The Thunderbolt Brigade's main effort is the protection and command and control of theater logistics convoys, or what we refer to as combat logistics patrols. These missions originate in southern and western Iraq, and the commodities we protect are delivered throughout the nation to 5 different core logistics hubs. All of these missions are the responsibility of the Corps Support Command. The 56th Brigade is therefore under the operational control of the Corps Support Command. The brigade's supporting effort includes the operation and security of Convoy Support Center Scania in South Central Iraq, the operation and security of 13 remote radio relay points in central and southern Iraq, and the security or force protection of all or part of 4 operational bases in southern, central, and western Iraq. The 56th Brigade was called to active federal service on the 15th of August 2004. The brigade trained on full spectrum operations at Fort Hood, Texas, under the tutelage of the 5th United States Army, was certified for combat on 1 January 2005, and began onward movement into the theater on the 2nd day of January 2005. In a few days, we will conduct our transfer of authority ceremony with the 48th Brigade from the great state of Georgia, and we will begin our movement back to Fort Hood for out-processing and our eventual release from active duty. Some of the brigade's highlights: the brigade has performed over 7,000 combat logistics patrols, escorting convoys over 1,300,000 miles, and these patrols have protected more than 150,000 logistics vehicles. Approximately 90% of these operations took place at night, and the normal logistics patrol was 12 to 14 hours in duration. The patrols of the brigade have encountered over 330 IEDs, and the patrols were involved in over 250 small arms engagements. In other missions, supply route security patrols have conducted joint operations with Iraqi Highway Patrol in support of their efforts to interdict criminal elements, and they have found numerous weapons caches and several tons of unexploded ordnance. 6 brigade soldiers have paid the ultimate price while serving in Iraq, and 58 soldiers have been injured or wounded due to hostile action. In civil military operations, the brigade, in partnership with the United States Corps of Engineers Southern Region and the Iraqi Ministry of Education, has helped build 15 schools. This effort, utilizing local contractors, provided much-needed economic stimulus to the local economy and certainly provided for the future of the Iraqi children. Also, in conjunction with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the brigade provided local construction oversight, coordination for several municipal infrastructure reconstruction projects in towns and villages near our headquarters. Our civil affairs mission has been 49 projects with a total cost of $2.1 million. During these rebuilding efforts, our medical professionals, along with the Iraqi Ministry of Health and our coalition partners, supported numerous medical civic action programs that help bring basic health care to local communities. A highlight for the brigade was when several civic organizations, U.S. corporations, U.S. volunteers, and brigade personnel supported a humanitarian mission by coordinating and sponsoring the care and transport of a young Iraqi to Houston, Texas, where he received a life-saving operation at Texas Children's Hospital. The operation was very successful, and that young man is now back in Iraq, and his prognosis for a long life is excellent. The Thunderbolt Brigade service in Iraq has been a 2-doctrinal application of operations in an asymmetrical theater of war, operating over long lines of communications for extended periods of time in a decentralized environment. The soldiers of the brigade have performed in an exceptional manner and have served America and Iraq in a most professional manner. I must also acknowledge the exceptional support we have received from our families, our employers, and our friends at home. They have also served America well during our deployment. We could not have accomplished our mission here in Iraq without their unwavering support. I'll now take any questions that you have.
Well, thank you, Colonel Brown. Those are some pretty impressive statistics that your unit has accomplished there. And we'll get right into some questions here. As you know, Colonel Brown can't see us as you can see him, so if you just identify yourself, that'd be helpful.
Colonel Charlie Ollinger with Reuters. Just a couple of quick questions. You said you all delivered commodities throughout Iraq. Is this, do you mainly deliver, is this equipment and supplies and food and all for troops? Or what are these commodities that you deliver? And you said you encountered 330 IEDs and you had 6 troops killed. Were they all killed by IEDs?
Okay, sir, in response to your first question, we protect the logistics for the coalition and American forces that are coming in from Kuwait and Jordan. These commodities are delivered to the hubs, the core support hubs inside Iraq, where they are further delivered to the troops. In your second question, sir, in the 6 soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice here, 3 of those soldiers were killed by IEDs on Iraqi highways.
Right, and a brief follow-up, I mean, you said they deliver commodities to the troops. Are you talking about everything from food to ammunition?
classes of supply.
And also, these 330 IEDs, have there been, would you characterize whether or not and how they've increased in recent months?
Well, one of the things that I'd have to explain with that, sir, is that from the time that we came into the theater, the mission of the 56th Brigade has expanded greatly. We originally only escorted convoys in the southern portion of Iraq, which is also the most stable portion of Iraq, or the least contentious portion of Iraq. Soon after we arrived here, we began escorting convoys through the Sunii Triangle, and within the last 60 days, we began escorting convoys in the western portion of the country. So obviously, our IED attacks have increased as we have increased our mission within the country, and we have moved into more contentious areas.
Sir, it's Donna Miles with the American Forces Press Service, and I'm curious, with your troops having been on the ground for close to 11 months now, pushing a year, and covering such a great area in Iraq, what are you seeing in terms of the overall climate there? What has changed during the 11 months you've been on the ground?
I'm sorry, your question is very distorted, but I think what I heard you say is, what I see is the overall climate, and my question is for my soldiers or for the Iraqis?
Brian, if you...
Perhaps I can amplify. Yes, but also whether or not you have, what types of changes you have witnessed over the past 11 months in the country.
Well, I think there are significant changes within the country. We've been a part of two critical pieces of the history of this nation. The first being the election that seated the Assembly to write the Constitution, and most recently the referendum. I mean, 64% of the Iraqis went to the polls and voted and exercised their rights as a new democracy. And certainly there can be no greater change from coming from the atmosphere under Saddam Hussein to where 64% of this great nation was able to safely go to the polls. Polls that were secured by Iraqi security forces, where now over 200,000 Iraqis are members of those security forces, and where those Iraqi security forces are taking the lead in the security of this nation.